At least 90 to 95% of people grow up with the scars left from family dysfunction. And among these scars, the hidden agenda of self-sabotage. What is it? It's shame. This is BethWe in the Koinonia Kitchen, and I want to talk about it because you have to see it to change it. If you aren't aware of the problem, it will never change. So what is shame? I'm going to give you a simple BethWe definition, not one you'll find on the internet or if you look it up. It's like an inner experience of feeling unwanted or that you don't belong. Shame tells you you don't fit here. You know, the dictionary will use words like disgrace, embarrassment, things like that. But shame is different. It's coming from outside of me, and I feel like suddenly I don't fit in. How do I think it's different than guilt? Again, this is BethWe talk. I think guilt is self-talk. I love my guilt because my guilt tells me I have just broken with my own inner ethics. I have just stepped out of my own moral code and I feel guilty. It's something that comes to me when I'm doing something that I could have not done. It's the following an action, where shame is a feeling that comes from outside us and kind of takes over inside us. I mean, shame is also self-talk, but it's based on a response to some past experience and something we learned. It stems from the personal belief that I don't belong, or I'm not enough, or I'm unwanted here. If this is speaking to you, but you're not sure, you're bound up by shame, I'm going to give you a few thoughts of people that are. Hopefully these are not your thoughts, but if they are, we're going to talk about it. I'm not able to let it go if it's not perfect. That is somebody that's fighting with shame. I'm a good guy overall, I just lack guts. Or how about this one? Even though I love you more than I can express, you need to give me space right now because I cannot handle your presence. Ooh, that's kind of a weird shame one, where it kind of became militant in its desire to be isolated. You know, there are things that happen with shame. Maybe you're in a position where you know that people in your position at other companies earn more, but you don't want to have to start over at another company. That's because you've found your little niche of belonging. And even though they undervalue you, you're afraid that if you step out of where you do belong, you might not find that belonging again. Do you understand these things? They affect our lives. Things that if you're shame bound, you might be saying, Beth, I really don't want to listen to this podcast anymore because I don't really want to know. There's a guy named John Bradshaw, and he did a wonderful book called Healing the Shame That Binds You. And he calls the bad shame toxic shame. He believes that there is good shame, that there's healthy shame, and that it suggests it's a developmental part of the human experience. You have to feel it from outside of you, maybe like a peer pressure or a family pressure, but that healthy shame leads you to grow into personal wholeness. But he talks about the other shame, and it happens with each age group has its own little bit of shame. It starts, believe it or not, from 6 months old, and it goes on. And some of the biggest ones happen around puberty because this awesome sex drive emerges and healthy shame monitors your safety. But shame dominates your peer group acceptance. And sometimes that's where shame will push you to do things you don't want to do, or you know it's not right to do, but you'll do it to get that little click of belonging. Shame can be experienced as limits to your self-identity. You know, don't think too far outside the box if you don't want it to be branded as a weirdo. So that puberty age is a really important age. And for a lot of recovering people, that is when they picked up their substance, their alcohol, their drugs, their sexual behavior, anything it is, their fascination with money, whatever they're addicted to, that's often where it started. So we can imagine the ways that we were dropped into this thing. But what are we going to do with it now that we recognize it? That's what I want to talk about today. Because what happens when shame is happening is self-sabotage. I self-sabotage every time I feel the shame, because the shame-carrying person believes they're flawed and without self-worth, so they fight or flee the feeling. All right, so that's what we're talking about. It's a feeling that kind of takes over us, and it makes us do things we don't want to do or pull away from people we think might have been able to help us. And as shame grows, the soul sickness that we have grows with it, because the shame keeps reminding us that our base self is flawed and that it would be dangerous for us to trust someone else. What do you think about that? So where are you wandering when you're falling into shame? Where are you? Are you with other people? Are you by yourself? Are you thinking about making a change? When does the shame pop up? Because I think that if you can get into your best thinking wherever the shame is happening, you're going to be able to not only address it, but challenge it. You guys know I teach about three natures: the body, the soul, and the spirit. The soul seems to be where we decide where we're going to retreat. And sadly, shame lives in the soul. And before we know that other places are available in that soul, the shame will, it's like the guy at the airport holding the sign, "Shame here," and you just walk right over to it and get in his car and drive away. But what if you traveled, instead of when you felt the shame, what if you traveled inward to spirit? Because in spirit, you are the beloved child of the living God. And once you come into relationship with God, you have sanctuary in your spirit. Do you get that? You have sanctuary from yourself. You have sanctuary from yourself and your shame. So in sanctuary, we are always enough because love and grace surround us. We are celebrated as a masterpiece of our Maker. How do we learn to buy a ticket to this place instead of jumping on that guy's limo with the shame sign? It's really hard. You'll have to find yourself trucking through some painful memories. But even though you can see that shame is not where you want to go, the thought will tell you that that's where you belong. And it will tell you that you should try that first. It's a false promise from the chief activator of your self-sabotage. So what are the things that we fall for? Shame will tell us, do you want peace of mind? But it will give us numbness. That is not peace of mind. Anybody who's a recovering drug addict knows that what they thought was peace of mind was numbness. And when you couldn't feel the bad, you couldn't feel the good either. You just couldn't feel. Shame will promise you escape, but what it will give you is isolation. The only thing you're escaping is the community that can help you thrive. That is not escape. Shame will promise you happiness, and what it gives you is that absence of feeling. Shame will promise you satisfaction, but what it will get you to do is settle for. So what are we going to do? The first thing, know your truth. Quit sugarcoating the issue. What do you do when you re-feel the pain of shame? Be clear. Know what you do. Do you go to a box of cookies? Do you work out till you're in pain? What do you do when you feel the shame? Do you go into a dark place and play video games where no one can get you? Do you fake it? Do you sit where you are but you detach from everybody and you appear to be a part of the conviviality, but you really realize that nobody can get to you? You're coded. Know your truth. Know what you do when it happens. Number 2, get honest with another person. You know, John Bradshaw talked about an interpersonal bridge in that book that I told you about. And it happens. We start to develop that bridge when we're babies. So redevelop that bridge. If your bridge got bombed out by shame in your history, rebuild the bridge. Find one person you can trust. One person. If you have to, go to a lawyer or a minister. They're bound by law not to tell your stuff. But find one person. If you're in a 12-step program, get a sponsor. If you're in a Bible study, get a friend, a mentor. If you're in a book club, look for someone who seems to have what you want. But the deal is this: find someone safe. If you hear them gossiping, they're not safe. Gossips are not safe for this building. You need an interpersonal bridge. You need somebody that you can tell your innermost thoughts. And do not ever pick somebody who has shamed you in the past. It won't work with them. I'm sorry, I know you love them. Do not pick them. The third thing I'm going to say, I don't care if you're not an alcoholic. Do the 12 steps. Become a part of a community or develop a community of support. The 12 steps may have started with alcoholics helping each other, but they help all kinds of people. Are you a child of an alcoholic? They have adult children of alcoholic. Or do you know somebody who in your life that's close to you that's an alcoholic or an addict? They have Al-Anon and Nar-Anon. There are so many 12-step programs. You can find one that works for you. But I am telling you, go through those steps. If you do that, you will never have to face the hard stuff alone again. The fourth thing I'm going to tell you to do, write your story down. It will help you clarify the truth and grieve your losses. I'm telling you that journaling changes your life. I have a great journaling program called Spiritual Heat. It's available on our website. Listen to me. Write stuff down. Tangible evidence that you want something to change. Not only that, as it comes out of the pen onto the page, somehow it leaves your mind a little bit tidier. I can't explain it. But the chaos that's in your head right now will start to become orderly as you write things down. The fifth thing, this is a big one. I want you to challenge your roles. Do you find fulfillment in every role you have? If not, consider modifying them. What do I mean by that? Okay, are you always the one in your family that has to fix the problems? Maybe you take a sabbatical from that. Maybe you say, hey, I'm not available to help right now. Could you call John? Could you call Tom? Could you call Bill? Whatever it is. But challenge your roles. If you're not finding fulfillment in a role, chances are you're performing the role to feel a false sense of belonging. It is not going to help you overcome shame. I want you to know what real belonging feels like. The sixth thing, get help. I advise for counseling. Counseling is really important. There's 3 practices that if you got deep problems, I really want you to look into: EMDR, NET, and CBT. They're all letters. So I'm going to say them once again. I'm not going to tell you what they are. You got to Google it and look it up, or look for one of my other podcasts where I talk about them. EMDR, NET, or CBT. They are all therapies that help people go deep. The 7th thing is the last thing. It's work on your spirit life. You got to improve your spirit life. Know the difference between solitude and isolation. Solitude is one with the higher power. Isolation is alone and in a dark place. Reduce your distractions. Get off your phone every once in a while and just talk to God. Maybe go into nature. Maybe find a place, a sanctuary, a sacred place, a place where you feel that you can connect. If you have to shut your eyes to reduce your distractions, shut your eyes. If you have to turn off the music, turn it off. If you have to turn the music on, turn it on. But find your way. The third thing about this spirit life, forgive your debtors. You have to forgive. I know it's really hard because it's a supernatural quality. But when you choose to forgive your debtors, when you choose to forgive the people who have wronged you, you are acting in the highest good of the entire universe. And God will reward you openly for it. Clear your energy. hang out with people who emulate the mindset you want. They have a funny saying in 12-step, if you hang around a barbershop long enough, eventually you'll get a haircut. If you're hanging out with gossips and sarcastic people and criticizing people, you're going to become that. Okay, so pay attention. Keep your energy field clean. Self-examination, do it every day. Make it a regular habit. When you have a win, when you have a loss, quantify it. Know it. Say, oh, I said that yesterday. I shouldn't have said that. And talk to yourself about it. Of course, I got to say prayer and meditation. Prayer and meditation. Anything you say after the words I am is powerful. So if you're saying I am stupid, you are using God's name first and then saying stupid after God's name. That's kind of spiritually a no-no. I am blessed. I am loved. I am in a place that I belong. Say those things if you have to. It can be part of your prayer and meditation. Affirmation work is old-fashioned, yes, but it does help when you're doing it with God. You don't have to do it alone. Do it with God. And as you learn who God is, you will learn more who you are. You are the beloved of the Most High, Creator of the universe. Do not sell yourself short by falling into the trap of shame. Hope this podcast helped you. Listen to it again if you have to, because you are awesome. I hope you're feeling better because you had a listen. Good Seed Podcast is powered by the BethWe nonprofit ministry based in Vero Beach, Florida. Our goal is to start the uncomfortable conversations that turn complacency into action and despair into hope. Connect, communicate, and thrive with us. Check us out online at BethWe.com.